And we are live. Welcome. I think we are live. Let's hope. I don't know if you guys can hear me. Let me know in the chat. Welcome to another Games Talk Live episode number 124, I believe, or one. Yeah, I think it's one. It's 120 something. Damn it. I've got a special guest tonight with us. Of course, Hargeet, always here. Hargeet, thank you for being here. He's always everywhere. Hargeet is
I know, right?
he's on every podcast there is out there. But welcome again, Hargeet, to the show.
Yeah. And we had another fun week, another showcase with Nintendo. Lots of fun things after that. So let's get into it.
Lots of
Welcome,
fun stuff.
Holly.
Yeah. Let's get into it. Yes, our guest this week is That Blue Number, otherwise known as Holly, otherwise known as that woman who shoplifts and also drives a Nissan Altima. No, I'm joking, of course. Just some random person keeps coming into your lives and saying,
His
"You
name
look like
is Stephen Avery."
Stephen Avery. I don't know if you're out there, Stephen. Maybe he'll join us at some point just to drop one of those gems on us today. But one time he said you look like somebody who drives an Altima. And then the next time he said you look like somebody who shoplifts. And I was just like, what? That's so weird. So random. It's great to see everybody in the chat. Thank you for being here. Holly, let me start with you. How did you get started with all this podcasting and gaming stuff? Like, let us know a little bit of history.
Hey chat, hey everyone. It's a strange story. Fonz, I'm wearing my bow today because I heard you telling the story about us crossing the street in LA and how a couple of us were walking with these bows on, and I was like, well, I gotta put the bow on now because it's part of the story. People need to witness the ridiculousness that was walking through Skid Row in LA with no care in the world. So no, I played games as a kid, and then when I got into like college and out of college, I didn't really play tons of games, board games. I've always been a like game nut, but I'm an only child, so finding other people to play games with has been actually pretty hard. And then a little while after that, I was established, had my job, I'd been through a breakup, and I had some friends. One had a PlayStation and one had an Xbox. And they were like, you should get a gaming system. Because I had like my Wii. I got a Wii, right? And I was all excited and I was playing my Wii. And they were like, no, you should get like a real system. And then they were arguing with me, which one should I get? Which one should I get? Right. So I wound up going launch day with Xbox One. And then I bought a PS4 a little bit later.
Poor you. Xbox One. No.
So I missed a lot of the 360 gen. I mean, I played 360 games, right? But I was just kind of not doing gaming at that point. But I just really got into it and like found my love for it, and it being okay to be an adult that games, and it's actually amazing, and it's not all Mario and all of that stuff, right? So I went to FanFest in 2022. It's the first one back after COVID. I won an entry, and Colt had actually been putting out a post saying, I'm looking for anybody. I have a friend that really, really wants to go. And Xbox only gives you like a month's notice if you've won. And I live in Chicago, and I was like, there's no way I can go. It's like less than a month away. I have a dog. I have a house. I'm like, I can't do this. But I messaged Colt and I just said, if you want my +1, that's fine. So I registered the friend as the +1. And then I started thinking about it a few days later, and I was like, this is probably like the only time ever I'm going to be able to do something like this. It seems amazing. I'm just going to go. Right. And I didn't know Colt. I mean, I knew Colt was. I followed him, watched his videos, all that stuff, right? I watched RDX all the time. But I messaged them and I just said, "Hey, I'm coming to LA. I'm gonna go do this. If it's cool, if I, say hello to you guys, meet you, whatever." And they were like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, we're gonna be here." And so I went and met everyone, and everybody was super duper nice. And from then on, we've been all really, really good friends. And last year I met Riskit, and Riskit asked me to join his show. And for the past year, I've been doing all this podcasting and stuff. Sorry, that was a really long background.
No. That's fine. It's quite all right. It's it's nice to know a little bit about the guests before they come on. And actually, it's something that I've never even asked you. When we met and everything out there in LA and stuff, when we were there for the fan fest, when you almost had us killed wearing that bow. You and Colt's wife wearing this bow, walking through the hood, just like neat. Yeah,
leading the charge.
Oh my gosh. and that, I told it last week, but that guy who pulled up with all the tattoos and stuff, he looked pretty rough, and he was like, "You guys aren't from around here." He's like, "You shouldn't be walking through here." And I remember Colt's face like, "Oh, what did we do?" But luckily we weren't too far away. Yeah.
That was about 30 seconds after we passed the first poop grace. That's what I'm going to call it, because it's Elden Ring week.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of which, what have you been playing lately?
So I played Still Wakes the Deep, finished it. It's only 6 hours. It was a pretty good game. I like horror
What type
games,
of game is that, by the way? Because I don't know. I haven't played it.
It's really good. I would recommend everybody giving it a go. It's got some, quirks, but it is about a 1975 Scottish oil rig, and something happens, and you play as this guy who is trying to assist other people on the rig and get off the rig because of a thing that's happened. I don't want to give too much away, but it is a horror game. It is not like a Resident Evil where you fight horror game. It is simply hide, move, survive, get through things.
Suspense. Nice.
Yeah, it is. It's good. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And then I've been playing Elden Ring since then, and Fallout 76.
Yeah, you've been playing Fallout 76 for quite a while. You and Dante played that a lot together, so that's something that it's co-op. Yeah, Colt plays at times as well. You just don't get flown around to all around the world to experience different things for Fallout 76 like Colt does.
I know. I need to get
Colt.
on that, right?
Lucky Colt. Hargeet, what have you been playing this week?
There are a couple of games leaving Game Pass, so I'm trying to finish those. And so I finished one of them, which is Forged in Shadow Torch Fist. That was pretty cool. It's kind of a platformy game, I guess. Maybe you can call it that. So, but it's like an action game. And then it was Sword and Fairy, I think is the other one that I'm trying to finish as well. So I started that up. It's like a 30-hour game, so I've got like 7-10 days, whatever, 7 or so days to finish that up. So I will try to get that one done. But those are the two that I've picked up. Before that, I was playing Rune Factory 4, which was leaving, and then I'm like, this is good, so I'm just gonna buy it. It was on sale for like $9. So I'm like, all right, fine, I'll just buy it.
Rune Factory 4. Never heard of it, but hey, you play all those games in Game Pass, yeah. No, hey, I've played some Japanese games, but never heard of that one. But I guess it's better than Genital Jousting, as some PC players might be playing. Anyways, I've been playing, of course, Shadow of the Eritrea DLC. And let me just say, so once I jumped into this, and we're going to get into, we're going to talk a bit about Elden Ring right now, this Shadow of the Eritrea DLC, because I started to play it, and I wasn't really feeling it at first. This is a problem I have personally with DLCs to games. I don't usually buy them because I feel like, I've already played this. There's not much different here, but boy, was I wrong. As I got into it, about 5 hours in, I'm like hooked, addicted. Like I played all day yesterday, like a degenerate. I couldn't stop. I couldn't put it down. I went to bed thinking about it and trying to think of a new build based upon all these different weapons I'm finding. So I'm thinking of different builds to try. And I've been doing that all day. I've been like, I want to go back to it because I found this katana that I'm just using that is just amazing. And it's just...
Do you remember the name of it? Because I just found one and I'm wondering if that's it.
I have two katanas that I found that are new. The Sword of Night is one of them. That's the one I'm talking about. And the other one, it's Star something.
Okay.
Star something. But I'm loving both of them. But this Sword of Night is so good. So good. And I'll just say this right off the bat. This DLC combined with Elden Ring itself. I did beat Elden Ring on Xbox, and I'm playing the DLC on Xbox as well, by the way. On my console, guys. I'm playing on the console, for those of you who think that I've abandoned consoles altogether. Nope, because I wasn't about to put another 150 plus hours into the PC version just to get to the DLC. But to get back to my point, though, what I was going to say about this, the DLC, in combination with the game itself, the main campaign, probably one of the best experiences ever in gaming for open world games. I think From Software has nailed open world exploration to the point where others can't compare. Just can't compare. That's how amazing it is. I'm not somebody who looks up spoilers and stuff like that. So I run into things all the time. And as I'm playing through this game, I'm just running into stuff going, just my mind is blowing every time I get to a new area. Because this one, instead of just like a big open world, I mean, you know this, Holly, it's very vertical. And there's lots of areas to jump down, go up. It's insane how big it is for a DLC. It's crazy. I don't know. What's your experience been like so far?
Yeah, I'm kind of like you. Elden Ring is like in my top 5 of all time. I love that game. I had like 220 hours, I think, in my original in the base game. And I'm the same thing. I would wake up thinking about, okay, when I play next again, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to try this, or, I got caught in a boss fight that, in my head, I'm like, okay, what do I have to do better next time, or something like that. I would just think about that game. And like, that's pretty rare, I feel like, to just really, have something kind of live in your head, right? Like that. And man, the muscle memory to get back into Elden Ring takes a minute because it is a uniquely different game than anything else. And the DLC, it's there's a lot of talk about it, right? And the one thing I will say is I have felt like the world feels a lot emptier than the base world did, which I don't know if I'm just not exploring right or what the case is, but in the base world, you'd run and you'd run into a cave somewhere all the time, right? There's all these little mini dungeons that you do everywhere all the time. And I feel like in the DLC, I haven't hit quite as many of those, or they're harder to find, maybe.
They're
And
harder.
they are different.
They're harder. I've been finding some catacombs and stuff that you just have to keep exploring. I'm telling you, it's insane. Now, the lead developer of the game, of course, I think his name is Miyazaki. I'm not sure how you pronounce it or whatever. Miyazaki. He wanted to push players to the envelope when it came to difficulty. And I gotta say, he's done that. There's been some bosses that I've ran my head up against and I've had to upgrade before I came back to, proceed to beat them. But, and there's a few bosses in particular. I know there's one that everybody's complaining about, and it's one of the reasons why on Steam, it's got mixed reviews. 40% of people are stating that it's too hard. And it's like,
Is it the Is it the one with the moon and the fire and the ice?
It's Mesmer.
Oh, okay. Mesmer. Okay.
Yeah.
I meant
That's the one a lot of people are just having a big time problem with. I have not ran into that boss yet. I've done a lot of bosses. I want to say I've done at least 8 that I've beaten. Because I'm somebody who, if I find a boss and I can't beat him at the moment, I'll run off and try to upgrade and do things and come back and beat it before I go to that next boss, before I try to, tackle another one. Of course, you get those mini bosses throughout the worlds too. I've done a bunch of those where they just pop up, like the tree sentinel and things like that. There's a lot of that kind of stuff later on in the game. I think I've gotten to most points of the map already, because I've unlocked a lot, and it's very vertical. Mr. J, he says it sounds like a skill issue for some. It's not just skill. It is legit tougher than the main game, Elden Ring, in my opinion. I think some of the bosses were okay, not too hard. But there was one in particular I had a tough time with. It was a boss I had to beat to get this sword. It was in a quest line, but it was like a hand boss, and it was so tough. But I finally beat it. You got to figure out the patterns. That's all it is with these games. Like they're all about a pattern. Hargeet, have you played any of the DLC yet?
No, and I probably won't. I like forced myself to like rage finish that game, and I'm like, I'm done. Thank God I finished it. It's over.
Okay.
And I will not be going back to that game. You say like it's one of the best in exploration. I'd say so is Zelda, but you wouldn't probably play any of those. So it is what it is, right? They also have verticality and exploration all over the place, and you can probably play that for like 10,000 hours. There's just so much crap in there. But it's up to you to get what you want out of it. I finished it after maybe like 200 hours or something like that. I don't know. I spent enough hours in Zelda, and then I've spent just about as much in, if not more, in Elden Ring. But I sat there and just kept leveling up. Right, there were areas where you could go and just kill something, go save, kill something, go save, kill something, go save, and you got you enough experience that I was able to get to like level 200 or something ridiculous. And then I actually did the actual campaign. So it became a lot easier for me. But I don't really have much interest in going back.
I didn't know if I did either. But again, going back to this world, going back to the game, it's just so good. And the new weapons and stuff that they've put in the game are a lot of fun too. I don't know what kind of weapons you found.
I suppose you have to actually get some of the new things, right, to really be able to tackle some of the new bosses. So if you don't actually,
there's some like
new have trouble.
They have a different leveling system in the DLC than they do. I mean, you still level the old way, but it doesn't impact your actual it doesn't impact your damage and stuff the same way as the specific leveling system within.
You got to level with these little I forgot what they're called.
Sacred blessings, sacred something blessings.
Yeah, there's like something trees that you have to get, and also ashes, and they're strung throughout the whole world. Like you find them on the ground sometimes; they're just there, and sometimes in churches and stuff. But I think I've gotten up to level 9 on mine, and it's made a big difference in damage output for sure.
I read there's a maximum of 20 for yours and 10 for your summons. So
I only have level 3 for my ash, but there's also new ashes of war as well as the weapons and stuff, and the kind of stuff you can do with these weapons with these ashes of war they got are pretty freaking cool. Like I said, I've got to show actually I've got a little bit of gameplay I can play here, but I don't have the new sword I just picked up, unfortunately. But I'll play some gameplay. Yes.
So ratings wise, this is supposedly one of the best DLCs, right? So beating out
that's the highest
Project
now.
Red.
Yeah. Yeah,
which I don't know. Did you guys play the Witcher ones or not?
The Witcher, yeah, I played all of them. I beat all the
That was
DLC
the Blood
in the
and
Witcher.
Wine, right?
Blood and Wine and
There were several
Heart
of them, but yeah,
Stone.
Blood and Wine was probably one of the best.
They were both so good. They were both
Yeah,
so
there
good.
was yeah.
Yeah, and you know those DLCs were better than the main campaign in my opinion. I liked them better. I liked the whole.
In some ways, they were. It was like the storyline was really good. They did a really good job with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this beats out all of that.
Yeah, it actually, yeah, it's got a great, you know, meta score and everything for DLC, but it's honestly, it deserves that masterpiece status that a lot of people are giving it. I give it a masterpiece status. It's not perfect, but it's a damn 10 out of 10 for me. Elden Ring is just special. It's really good, and I'm loving this game. Again, right after this episode, I'm jumping right back into there, and yeah, if any of you are online, we can talk while I play, because like I said, the exploration and stuff, that's the cool thing about this game too. It could be a cool party chat game too, because there's not a lot of dialogue, or there's little bits of story here and there that you follow for quest lines, but that's it. I mean, it's just like it's a fun game to just play while you're talking to people as well. Plus you get to hear me rage while I'm playing. Because I love, see, like right there, I died, and I was like, "You mother effer, I'm coming back, and I'm gonna whoop your ass." And that's what I did. I came back and I whooped his ass.
That guy killed me multiple times. He was so. I finally just went, "I'm coming back. I'm not."
Well,
doing
you get that Ash of War where you get the wings and you fly in. You get that from.
I did I'm guilty of. I just want to run around for a while. When it first starts, I didn't just stay in the beginning area. I like to run around, pick up the map pieces, and then unlock grace points, and then stop every once in a while along the way. And I came across this fort very early, like very early. And so when I went after him, I was like, "Oh, this is not good." I don't even think I'd leveled up once yet. And so I was like, "Well, I got the grace point. I'm good. I'm moving on."
I'm still wearing all my armor from the first game. Like I still haven't found anything. Like I did get one armor set, but it's very weak and it's heavy. It's really heavy, and I don't want real heavy armor. But these blades that I'm using are actually daggers, and I love these blades. They kick so much ass. I love those blades. Really fast, dexterity build.
New?
Yes, those are the new ones. Yeah. And they're right near where you start in the game. Like it's one of the first weapons I found. And I didn't use them because they were daggers. I was like, I don't want to use those. Then I tried them and I was like, holy crap, this is amazing. So I'm really digging those. Chat, what are you thinking about the game? Are you guys playing it? Who are you stuck on? Any bosses that you're having a hard time against? Again, mine was like the mother of fingers that I had a bitch of a time beating, but finally beat her. But yeah, aside from that, I didn't really have that much hard of a time playing against other bosses.
Did you find the Black Jail Knight?
Yes. Yeah, I beat him too. Yeah. Yeah. And I haven't been using my Mimic, which I used to use in the first game a lot. But in this game, to be honest, it's been a while since I played Elden Ring, and I kind of forgot about the use of those things. And so I'm running around trying to fight stuff and killing stuff. And I see on Twitter, Luca was out there talking about using her Mimic and not using it anymore. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. We have a Mimic. But hey, if I come up across a boss that I can't beat after, who knows, 20 times, I may end up using that Mimic, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I'll try to get past the boss using, that thing out there. Even though I haven't upgraded that, because that's what the ashes, you upgrade those with, right? Anything you summon, you upgrade with those ashes. Yeah, I'm only like at level 3 on that. So
I feel like there's a lot of places that they've limited you not using your
the Mimic.
Well.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Because that little thing will pop up, the little gravestone. It'll pop up when you can use a summon. You're right. You're right. In the main game, you could use it in a lot of places, but not here.
Almost everywhere. Yep.
Yeah. Anyways, I won't bore you guys to death with talking about Elden Ring all day. If you know, you know. If you like the game, you're playing it, I'm sure. If you don't, sorry. We spent the last 15, 20 minutes gushing about the game, Holly and I, but it is what it is. It's a great game, and it's rated highly for a reason. We don't get games like this very often. They're special. So if you're into it, enjoy it. And I don't know if you got anything else to say about the game, Holly, but that's all I have to say about it. It's amazing.
It's amazing. It's just super unique, and I love it, but I understand why people don't too.
Yeah, it can be tough, but damn, I would not going into a game like this, I would not rate it bad because it's too hard, especially with this being a From Software game. Like, you're expecting hard when you're going into a game like this.
And to be fair, I don't think, I've tried Bloodborne in the past and I didn't like it. And
I love Bloodborne. But it's Elden Ring has surpassed Bloodborne for me.
Do you like Bloodborne better than Dark Souls?
No, I never played Dark Souls.
Okay.
Never played.
I'm not one of those people who, and that's one of the unique things about Souls games, right? Is there's a lot of people who just will beat their head repeatedly against the wall until they break through the boss. Yeah. And I'm not one of those people. So that's why I don't think I ever really enjoyed Bloodborne, because it is linear. This is what you have to do. You won't progress until, right? So I think that's why Elden Ring is so approachable for a lot of people like me, who I don't want to sit for 8 hours and fight the same boss. I'll go do something else and come back later, right? But that's why I think this is unique. And even if you enjoy this, you may not enjoy Bloodborne or Dark Souls, but I'm more interested now to go back and give those a try.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too, but I mean, for me, the one thing special about this game is the fact that it is open world, and that to me is just that's what's really cool for me. I love open world games. So it just, I don't know, it hits all the right spots for me. Anyways, let's move on. Let's go ahead and talk about the Nintendo Direct, something that Hargeet can gush about, because that had happened and it totally crushed the Xbox showcase. At least that's what everybody's saying out there, right? I'm looking at you, Chris String. I'm looking at one of your eyes anyway. Yeah, I didn't say that. No, I heard they had a really good showcase. So that's nice. And, if only PlayStation had a good showcase as well. Maybe one day.
Well, they'd have to have games for that. But hey, there's a minor little problem.
So yeah, so tell us, what did they show, Hargeet, that was awesome?
So they had quite a few games that were multi-plat that were on there, but they had 3 surprise games of first-party new games, and then a whole bunch of remakes and and ports from older systems. But they have a new Zelda game. They have a new Mario game. They showed Metroid Prime 4, and what was the fourth? Hang on, I have it here. It is
Mario Party.
It was Jamboree, Mario Party Jamboree, and then they have a whole bunch of ports and all that stuff. But there were also some games that looked pretty cool that were third party. So it was overall pretty good. Like the Dragon Quest remakes look pretty cool. There was Luigi's Mansion 2 coming over. There's the big controversy one, which is Marvel vs. Capcom. Right? We'll have to talk about that one. And I don't know, if any of these games resonate with any of the folks that are in the chat or not, but they are kind of more Japanese focused.
Metroid for me. Cool. I'm looking forward to Metroid. I did like Metroid Prime. I'm a big fan of Metroid. I did not play the Metroid game, the last one on Switch that they made. I did not play that one though. I
Dread should. Or do you mean
Dread?
Like
the Dread?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, give it a chance. I mean, maybe when like the new Switch comes out, this will most likely be it's a 2025 game, so it's most likely going to be a cross-gen game. And this is the Switch version, not the next. You can kind of tell from the graphical quality here. So we will see what they do with the V Next Switch to see how well it plays and looks. But even without that, it looks pretty good, right? So
for a Switch title, it does. Yeah.
Yeah, so well, I mean, that's what it's a game, right? So whatever. The Zelda game looks kind of interesting. The Mario and Luigi game looked pretty cool too. But yeah, so it was a pretty good showing. I don't know what did Holly? Did you watch it as well, or did you skip it?
No, I watched it. I do like Nintendo.
Good.
I know it's not.
What do you think?
Holly likes Nintendo.
There was less there for me than I feel like there normally is in a Nintendo show. But a new Super Mario Party is huge. Like that was a big deal, right?
Been a minute,
how
hasn't
many
it?
years has it been since 8 came out?
It's been a minute.
Like a long time. The mall level looked like a lot of fun. I thought that was really cool. Then they have one that's like on a racetrack. That seemed pretty cool too. I love Mario Party. It's just so much fun when you have people over. It's just a goofy game, and it literally doesn't matter what you do during the game, because at the end they just hand out stars like candy to random people, and then if you're in last place you might win. So it kind of takes away a lot of that like nasty competitiveness sometimes that comes like with other people.
Oh, it's so much. I will add to this. Mario Party is a really fun game. I play it with my kids sometimes. My wife and I, we've had a blast playing Mario Party and also Mario Kart. We play that a lot at parties and stuff. So I'm not a total Nintendo hater, Hargeet. Mario Wonder was really good too. That was fun with the family as well.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Did you like
really
the new Mario game, the Mario and Luigi?
Yeah, that looked good. I was more excited about that Zelda game. I thought that looked.
Yeah, you get to finally play Zelda. Right?
They should have called it The Legend of Link, right? Because it's like at first I was like, what is this? And then they started going into it, and I was like, oh, okay. Because I really like the Captain Toad games, right? And the like world twisting and like the weird mechanics that they do in Captain Toad. And I felt like the Zelda game kind of has weird mechanics, right? Like the echo thing. Yeah. And I was like, this looks way better than I would have thought. I was like, at first I was like, oh, it looks like a super kids game. But then when they started showing how it actually plays, I was like, all in. That's cool. It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah. I mean, different mechanics, right? And they do that with the Yoshi games, right? They have like these little offshoots that have different mechanics. They give you a little different twin,
like crafted Yoshi and
yeah, right. Like a little bit of a different way of playing, right? So it's pretty cool. Yeah, this looks like it's interesting as well. And for those who are interested in buying it, just remember that you can get the vouchers for $100 to get 2 games, right? So you pay $50 each for 2 games. So just remember you can do that. Go to the Nintendo eShop and pick up the voucher, and you can pre-order 2 games and pay $50 instead of the $60 or $70 or whatever. I'm sure they'll be $60, right? So, but a little bit of a discount
about that, because that sounds like a good deal that I need to do.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how I usually get my Nintendo games. Even like the $70 whatchamacallit, Tears of the Kingdom, I was able to get for $50 just by buying the voucher. So it's well worth it. I bought Wonder and Tears of the Kingdom for $100. So
that's really good.
Cool. Yeah, it's a nice little deal that they have available all the time. You have it available all the time if you want to use it. But
these games like the Zelda game for me, for instance, I'm not like really fond of the aesthetic of it, but I can see where people have fun with those types of games. It's it's a video game. Of course, some people are gonna like that sort of thing. But I wish now Zelda. I'm always hoping for more on the side of realism when it comes to the world and stuff. Something like Breath of the Wild, but just a little bit more grown up a bit. I would love that for a Zelda on the next Switch or whatever, whatever they call it. Because, they can push the envelope a bit more, I think, with whatever hardware they're going to come out with. So,
yeah,
I don't know. I've always wanted another traditional Nintendo box to buy. And I don't think we're ever going to get that again. I think they're going to just keep doing these handhelds. But hopefully the dock, the next one.
Does that matter?
No, I mean, it doesn't really matter if you can hook it up to the TV and stuff. I guess,
Yeah, exactly. Like the ROG Ally is a pretty powerful device, right? You can play some pretty good games. It's more like a Series S in your hand. So,
yeah, I guess for me, it's like I want them to push the power envelope, and I know that you can only go so far with a handheld. And that's my only gripe with it.
Potentially.
But that battery and stuff will get better, though. I mean, the tech, eventually they could probably push a lot more,
Yeah, but consider that you can scale down, right? So when you're on a little 6-inch or 7-inch screen, you don't need as much as far as resolution, right? So you can cut it back quite a bit and keep the battery. And when you're docked, who cares? Go full tilt, right? You can have full power, right? So I think they can pull it off and do a pretty good job. I mean, that's what Xbox is looking to do, right? They're looking to go portable as well with their next console. That at least that's what the rumors are. You can kind of guess.
Well, I thought they were kind of
saying that there's going to be a portable.
Yeah, so, I thought they were going to kind of add, a portable device,
like a second SKU, right?
Yeah,
we don't know. SKU. Like there was also a thing of saying there'd be only one SKU going forward, and that one SKU would be the portable. So we'll see. We'll see what they do.
Yeah, we'll see.
My biggest complaint about Nintendo hardware is the controllers. Like I hate using the Joy-Cons. I mean, when they're docked,
don't have the Pro controller?
Yeah, the Pro controller is really nice.
Yeah. I have the Pro controller, but it still feels a little cheap.
Interesting. Okay. Well, it's not an Elite. It's certainly not the Elite, but
see, I don't have an Elite, so
it's too light, I think.
Really?
And I don't know. For me, like I think I wish it was just a little bit like meatier, and the buttons didn't feel so plastic. Yeah. Right.
Right. Yeah. I think the Pro controller is a good controller. It's got the staggered sticks. They've got that right, but it's, I don't know. At the end of the day, it's still a Nintendo. It's still Nintendo games you're playing. Although with the next iteration of the Switch, we're going to get more multiplats on that thing. So that'll be good for those people out there who only buy a Nintendo or whatever. They can experience other games as well. Going forward, the CODs and everything like that will be there. So I'm sure they'll be happy about that. Anything of note that you really want to, hit home about this Nintendo show?
So there were a couple of announcements where Xbox was skipped, where PlayStation and Nintendo got the game, but not Xbox. Overall, by the way, for a showcase, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. I don't know what, Holly, you thought of it. Well, go ahead. I don't know what your rating might be, but
for the
Nintendo.
Yeah.
No, like a 7.5, probably.
Okay. And I don't know, Fonz, did you even watch it or?
I didn't watch the show. I just saw some of the trailers.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay. So yeah, and in comparison, I still think the Xbox was a 10 out of 10. It was, I don't know how they make it much better.
Great. Yeah.
So it was pretty good. The controversy came in with those, right? So I'm happy with the content. I don't think it's fine. It's on Nintendo. It's on other platforms as well. The Nintendo games are Nintendo games. I expect those to be exclusive. That's fine. But there were a couple of games that skipped Xbox. That's kind of annoying. Some of it was Square. Some of it was others. I think they're just existing deals, and they'll eventually lapse, and eventually they'll come to Xbox. The one that may not is Marvel Capcom. I don't know if that's just a costing issue or it's something with licensing, but Marvel Capcom Collection is not coming to Xbox. Now there's this thing out there about it being the MT framework engine that they use, but that's cap. There's no way that that's it, because there's so many other MT framework games that have come to Xbox, including up to a couple of years ago. So I don't think that's it at all. I think this has more to do with either the licensing, because it's Marvel, they might have said, "Oh, you can put it on PlayStation for X amount of dollars. You can put it on Nintendo for X amount of dollars." But Microsoft is like the most valuable company, even though now it's Nvidia. But so we're going to charge you 20 times as much. So if you want to put it there, I think that's more likely than anything else. Or they said nobody buys these games on that platform, so we're just not going to put it there. That's also a possibility, right? So it just comes down to like financials to me. Because ultimately you can do whatever you want to get whatever engine to work with whatever system. So the fact that they didn't put it on PlayStation 5 could lend credence to the fact that they're like, we don't want to invest at all in this engine, wherever it works with very little, investment needed. Go ahead and put it there. Maybe there was more investment needed for Xbox, but I can't believe that since a lot of the empty framework games came to Xbox One. So I'm not sure what the issue would have been. But that's where we are. So I think it might have more to do with licensing the Marvel property, because you would have to relicense it, and licensing cost we based on whatever Disney wants, right? And Disney could be pretty annoying and say, well, oh, no. When it's Microsoft, you got to pay a lot more. Okay. Well, that means the game won't show up here, right? It's kind of the thing it is. So I don't know what you guys thought about that.
I know what it is. It's the Series S. It's that damn Series S. This game cannot be played on the Series S. Just look at it.
Right, of course.
It's way too graphically demanding. We all know that the Series S is so weak, it just can't do it. I don't know, Holly. What about you?
I mean, I agree. It's definitely not the framework issue. What it actually is, I don't know. I just wonder how much this game would actually sell anyway, or this collection, right? Because these are old games, and that's great. And we should always have backward preservation and all of that. Like, I'm not discounting that, but I just don't know if it was worth the effort for the people who wanted it. Although I've seen a couple accounts on Twitter hard raging about this not coming to Xbox in particular and blaming Xbox. And I don't know. It's another one of these. It's like there's two things that came out this week where you're like, okay, like what's the actual deal? Somebody just tell us what is the actual issue here. This is one, and I think we're going to talk about the other in a little bit. But there's enough here for people to say it's an old game, it's an old port, it's a port that's possible. So what's the actual issue? Like, we're not dumb. Like, there's something going on, and just say what it is, and that's it. Be done with it. I don't think it's a Capcom Microsoft issue, because Capcom plays very well with Microsoft, especially now that they've got Kintsugi, right, coming to Game Pass. And so I don't know. It's just weird. But again, not that I think everybody should have access to the games, but is it something that's really going to be a huge loss for a lot of people? I'm not sure.
Or like you said, will it be a huge seller for the console? Probably not, but it's unfortunate though. There's still a lot of people out there who do like the game. I mean, there's big fans. There's big fighting fans that would love to have this on Xbox, but at the end of the day, again, it's
a small number. And like, if you really want preservation, the right thing is they're putting it on PC. Buy it on PC, because that thing lasts forever. You can play a game from 1980 on a PC. It doesn't matter, right? So that's the way to go. If you're really looking for preservation, thank God they're bringing it to PC. Some of these weren't on PC, so now you get them on PC, right? So just buy it there. You're good. You can play that game forever, right? You'll play it on your laptop. Like your laptop in 10 years will say, this is a joke. I don't care. I can run this in 1% power, right? Because who cares? It'll have so much power available, right? But it'll work. That's the thing. It's always backwards compatible, like permanent. So if you really care about it, buy it on PC. You got it, right? Your PS5 is going to go away at some point, right? Maybe it has forward compatibility. Maybe it doesn't, right? Your Switch, we don't know, right? Maybe it does have compatibility. Maybe it doesn't when the next one comes out. But PC, you never have to worry about that. It's going to work. Just buy it on PC. You're good to go.
And that was a message from Hargeet Chani. Buy PC, folks.
It's different when it's new games, right? This is a collection of old games. Like,
yeah. You're right about game preservation, though. Like it's like the consoles are like the Xbox Series X, or whatever they build in the future. Though the Xbox. I'm sure they'll continue to try to do the backwards compatibility thing, and that's a great thing. Yeah. But you're right, as much as they can, because there's going to be a point to where they're not going to be able to do things. Licensing is another issue and another reason why they can't do that sort of thing. But on PC, you really don't have that kind of thing going on. Like, it's an open platform. There's people constantly like putting up games. Like, you can download pretty much anything you want for free out there. I mean, I'm not condoning that, but just putting it out there that you can do that if you wanted to. But no, what was the other announcement that you wanted to touch on?
As far as what the Nintendo Direct,
yeah, there was another announcement that you said something. There was a couple announcements. No, that's it.
No, this is the big controversial one. The other game that has controversy is what Ollie was referring to. We're going to have that as a topic.
Yeah, right? Yeah, we're definitely going to.
We're going to talk about that one.
Yeah, we could definitely get into that because it is something that we touched on last week. If you remember, I brought it up because it was very new. There was people out there that were saying certain things, and as you know, I shout out to King David. He was one of the ones that said he heard from the executives themselves, from an executive, that Black Myth Wukong was essentially money-headed. It was essentially paid to be exclusive on the PlayStation 5. Console exclusive, anyway. Now, people were saying, and even D last week was saying that's not true. That's ridiculous. But is it? Because here's the funny thing. Now, you guys remember Phil Spencer had an interview right after the show, the Summer Games Fest showcase. Remember one of the things he said on that showcase, and the way he said it, he said slimy. Platform things. And I'm pretty sure that he was alluding to Black Myth Wukong. Now that I think back. No, but I'm thinking that's just, that just happened. And they are, and here's the thing. Here's an issue I have with the whole thing. If it is true that the game was money-headed by PlayStation, and I personally do believe it. I have reasons, and I will not disclose those reasons, but I have reasons to believe it. It is true. Shame on the developers. Shame on the developers, not for taking the bag, but for outright lying and saying they've got to, tweak the game and make it sure that it's up to their standards, and making it sound more like it's a Series S problem over anything else. Shame on them for that.
I'm also confused as to why, if they're going to do that, if PlayStation were to do that, why wouldn't they tout it? Why wouldn't you tout it? Why wouldn't you just say, yep, this is an exclusive? Why would you pay something and then not?
You don't need to when you're doing these slimy things, because it's already done for you. When they showed it on the showcase, there was no Xbox labeled and had everybody buzzing about it. Why not? Why not? And the developers coming out and saying later.
It worked. Here's a question that I don't know. I have a genuine question. Like, this game was originally announced for all platforms, right? Like, we knew it was coming to everything.
Well, except Nintendo.
So,
it never had a Nintendo release.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, without Nintendo. So when they do that, right, they're obviously working with the companies to make sure that it's all like hardware wise, it's going to work, everything. But do they sign some sort of agreement, or there has to be some sort of monetary agreement, right? For, I'm making this game for your console, you're selling it like this, I get this percentage, you get that percentage, et cetera, right? There has to be some basic fundamental deals signed or something, right? With each store platform that you're selling your game on.
So the way it works for indies is it's more, you get to put a game on and they won't really do much as far as requiring you to have some sort of special arrangement with them. Unless you want a special arrangement, then, so let's say you want to put it on PS Plus or you want to put it on Game Pass. That's a special arrangement. In that case, you have to kind of go with them and make that arrangement, right? But as an
Right.
independent developer, you're allowed to just go ahead and put your game in. It will get rated, right? As far as like, is it gonna not meet something or whatever? You have to kind of, as far as like, is it controversial in some way, right? You're gonna have to make sure that is all fine, right? But outside of that, you can just go ahead and put your game there, and you can determine the price and all that stuff. It's up to you. If you want them to be involved, they will be, but they don't have to be. On a publisher arrangement, it's very similar. So if you're EA, you get to publish whatever you want because you have a publishing agreement with Xbox. So they'll go ahead and let you do it, right? So for instance, CD Projekt Red is a publisher that published their own game, Cyberpunk, and nobody like challenged them on the fact that, hey, this doesn't work at all on PS4 and Xbox One. Why are you putting this? Because they have a publishing agreement, they can go ahead and put it there, right? So as long as it meets certain certification needs, it's going to just go, right? So that's kind of how that works. So they don't necessarily have an arrangement. I've heard rumors to the contrary for this specific title, though. But you go ahead. I'll get into that.
Well, I mean, and that was just my question is like, you've been working on a port for Xbox platform, right? For this whole time. And then you get to this point, and let's say in whatever world Sony did come by and say, yo, we're a little light this year. We would rather you just hang with us. And they take the money and, they don't, or they time exclusive it, right, to Sony unofficially. There's no agreement with Microsoft in any way that's being violated by that. That's my question.
There was one
right?
in the 360 gen. In the 360 gen, they said if you're going to put an indie game, a part of the indie, what was it, the arcade? I think whatever they called it, the arcade thing that they had. You had to be day and date. If you're going to release it on Xbox 360, you had to be day and date with any other platform. They rescinded that in the Xbox One because a lot of indies started skipping the Xbox and putting their stuff on other platforms. And they're like, oh, well, we kind of have to let them come here. So even if you did not do day and date, they're like, fine, you can come in whenever you're ready. So even that part of it went away. So that used to be there, but not anymore.
It's, the thing is with this, I don't know if they really have or not. I think it's entirely possible. But what doesn't make sense to me is this game. I mean, it's been talked about. It is anticipated by a lot of people, but it is not a game that sells consoles. I don't think. To me, it's not. So I don't know why Sony's going to have a light year. We know that. It is very well talked about, right? But Xbox has had many, many, many light years. And Sony's had very few light years. So to me, it's like, well, whatever. It's not that big a deal that they're having a light year. And if they're going to money had a game, why would it be this one in particular? Maybe it's because it's cheaper. I don't know. But they don't really need to do it because it's not going to be a full exclusive, right? And it's not going to be one that sells consoles or finally gets people to upgrade from their 4 to their 5, right? There's a whole bunch of stuff there that's just not happening. So I don't know why this one, and I'm not saying it's not possible, it's entirely possible, but it's just a little confusing, right?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with some of that, and I guess it just depends on how desperate they are, right? Like, if they do have a PS5 Pro to release this holiday, they're going to have something to show with it, right?
But
and
this has already been out for like 3 or 4 months by then. You know what I mean?
Fair enough, right? But they'll say, hey, there's a new update to make it blah, 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 whatever it is, right?
This is a big game a lot of people have been waiting for. It's a big multi-plat.
It is. Yeah.
So it is a game that I can definitely see them throwing money at to try to make a timed exclusive. And shout out to Donnie in the chat. He says, I'm getting softer every week. Because I'm talking about this, I guess. He says, who cares if Sony gave him the bag? Good for Sony. No, it's not good for the consumers. I've always rallied against stuff like this. I think it sucks. I think it's stupid. Money-heading games, multiplats like this, is anti-consumer at its best. Or at its worst, I should say. I don't think that this is a good thing at all, Donnie. And for you to champion this, obviously you must be a Sony guy, but It's not cool. Like multi-plat games are just that. They're multi-platform. They're called that for a reason. And this is definitely one of those things where I agree with Phil wholeheartedly. This is one of those slimy platform things. And it's not good for Xbox gamers that have been waiting to play this game. How in your mind can you even think otherwise as a consumer that this is a good thing? I don't get that.
This is their first game, right? This
It's a pretty
Game
new
Science
studio.
They're new. They're a
So,
pretty
like,
new studio.
What a bad way to kind of come onto the scene. And then on top of that, if indeed it is true, Fonz, you're 100% right about the fact that like blaming the Series S, or just because that's been the easy thing for people to do. And it might be true in some cases, for sure. But to use the standard thing to perpetuate, an issue that is out there or has been perceived to be out there is not a great look. But again, here's the thing. We don't know for sure.
Here's the thing about the whole Series S thing. Everybody needs to put that to rest, because honestly, the Series S will play any game that's out there. It's all they do is scale the games for the Series S. And I know people used to laugh at it a long time ago when you had devs come out and say they were having a problem porting their games or whatever. It just takes time to do so, to change that. Yep. But scalability is a thing. Dealer said it a long time ago, and what he said still stands today. The only thing that they've had to omit from a game is split screen. They had to omit that on what game was that?
Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's Gate 3, the split screen. That's right. Baldur's They had to omit that from the Series S because they couldn't get it to work or whatever. But the main game is still there, very playable. And again, it's all about scalability. So I don't think it's the Series S. Could they have been taking longer time because they have to develop for two SKUs? Of course that could happen. But being that King's already said, hey, this is what so-and-so said to me, he's put it out there. And if it didn't happen, don't you think that something would be happening against King right now with the Xbox folk, or they would be making statements otherwise?
I mean, they did make a statement. They made a statement to Jazz, basically confirming that happened. Okay, because did you see that article or not?
Yeah, let me pull up the article.
And
let me get that.
Yeah, you can kind of guess from there, read between the lines, right? It's
okay.
And they took their time. I think Jess waited a whole day for them to respond, and Game Science just said no comment, right?
Yeah, but Microsoft did comment.
Yeah, they did. It took them a while to write out it very carefully, right? Yeah.
All right. So this is from Windows Central, of course, Jez Corden. And I think it's here. Okay.
There it is.
Well, no, this is what the developer said.
This is what Microsoft said, right?
Yeah, no, that's what Microsoft said. The developer said no comment. It's that paragraph right above the feet.
No. The paragraph there is, we are currently optimizing this Xbox Series X and S version to meet our quality standards. It's the developers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep. So see, that's what they said. And that's what I find fault with. I'm like, that's pretty ridiculous. Okay.
And here's what they said back.
And this is from Microsoft. It says, we're excited for the launch of Black Myth Wukong on the Xbox Series X and S, and are working with Game Science to bring the game to our platforms. We can't comment on the deals made by our partners with other platform holders. There it is. But we remain focused on making Xbox the best platform for gamers, and great games are at the center of that. So right there, he's kind of telling you without telling you. We can't comment on the deals made by our partners with other platform holders. That's PlayStation 5. Yeah, he's, and yes, it is a bad look on them, sir, because you got Game Science saying, hey, we're still working on it. We're going to make it, meet our quality standards. It's like, no, you're not. You got bought out for a while. And we don't know how long this is going to be. Who knows? It could be a 1 month, 2 month, 3 month. We don't know. 6 months,
a year. We don't know, right? So here's the thing, right? I also want to impress on people. A lot of us are from here, from the US. Outside the US, the Xbox is a non-factor. It just is, right? You might have some of it in the UK, but in China, nobody's going to care about the Xbox. In Japan, nobody's going to care about the Xbox, right? Most of Asia, what the hell's an Xbox? That's just the world they're living in, right? So you have to put it in their context too. Now, they don't want to piss off Microsoft because they want to be on PC, right? But ultimately, the Xbox platform just does not have any resonance over there. So they probably said, okay, hey, Microsoft, pay up. We'll go ahead and make the port because we don't have the time to do this. We're just going to pay somebody else to do it. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait, and we'll get to it once we release it everywhere else, and we'll figure out how to make it work on your platform. Okay, I'm just trying to give you a hypothetical as to what's happening here, right? This is not a big studio. They don't have all the people in the world to make this happen. So that's probably more like what happened, okay? Because look, not having a large platform, these are the things you run into. Not being relevant in any continent outside of the US, right? North America, yeah, I guess you could say Mexico and US are kind of there. Canada, it's just a problem, okay? They need to be relevant in those other countries. They're not. Right. So if Xbox is not going to be relevant, it's not here. It's nobody cares about it. They don't care about this platform. They just think some US customers will complain, but hey, they have access to the PlayStation. They have access to the PC. They can just play it there. That's what's going to happen. Okay. So they need to change that. That's Microsoft needs to change that. And that's where this is going to become more and more of a headache. As other countries come up, indie developers start making these games, you're going to see a lot more of these kind of deals because it just makes sense. That's where if I went to India, for instance, do you think they play on Xbox? It's a joke. It's a joke. They don't even consider that a platform. It's a joke, right? It's PlayStation. That's it. Nintendo, PlayStation. They don't even think of Xbox as a thing. Okay, so that's the world we're in. And so you're going to have new developers come up and say, oh, let me put it on the platform that in my country is a laughing stock. They're not going to care. So then Xbox has to unfortunately pony up, and they're not going to do it, right? They're not going to pay for all these indie developers to put the games on there. So this is what you're going to get. So this is how things need to change. This is up to Xbox to change it. They need to be relevant in all these countries. They can't just rest on their laurels and say, okay, the US, that's great. We're kicking butt here. That's nice. You got to kick butt everywhere. There's a whole planet out there. It's beyond the US. We definitely dominate a lot, but we're not the world. And if you want to have people care about this, you have to be in their mind. That you have to be out there. Right. And this is just going to keep happening. You get more games in Africa. You think Africa is going to have the same? Like, come on. It's a joke over there. Again, the same thing. They do PlayStation. It's just the way it is. Right. And you're going to see more and more of this. This is a problem that Xbox needs to resolve. It's not just one developer. You're going to see a lot more of this.
Money talks, man.
So maybe the money hatting in this scenario was they worked on the Xbox port last, realized they need more time, but PlayStation, and so they were going to delay all of their release, and PlayStation's like, no, keep ours on the date that it was supposed to be, and you can do whatever you with them as long as it takes, I don't care, but we get to come out on the date that you promised us. Maybe that's the way it
it very well could be that.
I had a big problem with Baldur's Gate when it came out, because they released on everything but Xbox on the date, on the same date, right? Or within a week or two, right? And like, I get really annoyed if you are going to be on all of these platforms, and I don't care if it was Sony or Xbox, PC, whatever, Switch, like if you promised to be on all of these platforms and you didn't already have an agreed timed exclusivity with one versus another, then your date should be the same for all of them. And if you have to delay because you had an issue with your Switch port, so be it. Everybody should be delayed, because you're losing out. Like, you have all of your friends on other platforms playing. You're hearing stuff about story, right? You're getting a lot of spoilers. There's a lot, there's a lot of stuff, right? That sucks and it's not like there's
I wish that would be the case
for being later. right? It's not like they
Yeah.
said, well, our bad, we couldn't get it out in time. We'll take $10 off the price. That doesn't happen. So I just didn't buy Baldur's Gate, even though I heard it was fantastic, right? Because I was like,
Yeah.
well, the Xbox version came out like 4 months later and I heard all this stuff. And I'm just like, but I don't want to support the idea that it's okay to just leave them behind and it's not as big a deal. I'll get to you when I get to you. But then the problem with that is when you don't buy games because of that, it even gives less of an incentive to make sure that
to have that
it's
not
a
happen.
priority the next
Exactly.
time, right?
Yep.
So it just you're in a lose-lose situation there.
Which is why I'm not gonna like boycott the game, because I want to support the indie developer. I'm not as annoyed by them. They're an indie developer. I understand them taking money. You know where that's interesting, Holly, is there was a game that did that. It was a very large game. In fact, the most sold game last year. It was Hogwarts, that did not launch on Switch, even though it was promised to be on Switch. Did not launch on Xbox One and PS4, even though it was promised to be on those platforms. It launched them later. It went ahead and came out on the PC, Series X and S, and then PS5, and then said, well, we'll get to you guys later. And it was 6 months later that it came out to the other platforms, right? So it happens. It happens. And that's a big publisher, right? So
I didn't buy that game for a year. Yeah.
So, you know, and fair enough, right? I bought it immediately because it looked awesome, and I loved that game. It was great. So I went ahead and supported the bad behavior of them not putting it on all platforms at the same time. But then I also look at it and say, had Cyberpunk done the same bloody thing, that game would not have gotten the negative press, because it worked fine on the new gen consoles, and it worked great on PC, right? It was just Xbox One and PS4. It sucked, right? And it's like, well, why don't you just wait and then like say, look, we'll just delay that release. And we know why they did it. They wanted the large install base of those current consoles, and you know they couldn't really put it there. You know, say just buy it and it'll come 6 months later, right? So they said, fine, no, we have to release it at the same time, and it was a disaster. And right, and Hogwarts learned from that and said, look, we're not going to put it out until we think it's actually viable, right? So Warner put it out when they were ready, and they said, no, it's good on the current consoles. It's great. If you want last gen consoles, it's going to be a little while. We have to get these optimized first, and then we'll put it out there. And it worked for the most part. Nobody complained about those. It worked. There were minor bugs here and there, but mostly Hogwarts was great, right? And I think that's a better model. Unfortunately, that contradicts what you're saying, but I kind of agree with your stance. It should be everywhere. If you're saying it's going to be on a platform, you should just have it, right? Because when I was playing it was what everybody else was playing it. When the whole zeitgeist was happening, it was like, oh my God, this game is so awesome. What do you think about it? Like, you can't talk to me about that. You haven't played it on your platform, right? So either go buy an Xbox, buy a PlayStation, or get a PC if you are on Switch. Too bad. Or if you're on Xbox One, too bad.
See, but that's the mindset that a businessman should, the console platform holders should have, is we've got this exclusive. We've got this game. You need to buy our console. No gamer out there should be like that. I don't feel that way. Like, going back to like the 360 days, I know somebody said it earlier. Oh, they used to money hat games too. They used to get timed exclusive games and stuff. Sure, that was a thing that everybody was doing back then. PlayStation is still holding on to that style of business, and everybody else is kind of just being like, nah, we're selling our games everywhere because we're making a lot more money. Sony is still trying to push their console first and foremost. Yeah, I get it, whatever. But at the end of the day, as a gamer, I don't care about that stuff. I really don't. I don't care how many units you sell. I just want to play a good game.
Yeah. Well, in all reality, too, they're gonna by not delaying the entire launch, right? They're just gonna sell a lot less on the leftover platform anyway, because you're going to hear a lot of good, bad, and ugly about the game from other people and the reviewers and all that stuff. And you might have been a day one buyer who wound up disappointed, but you bought it day one, right? And now you're not going to bother. Plus, then after the game's been out 6 months and it comes out, the hype is gone. The marketing's gone. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's an afterthought. And then that's also the problem, because then you're like, well, I didn't sell very much on there last time. But they don't look at the factor of, well, you know, you lost the momentum that you had from everybody else.
I guess then it would depend on how much they're actually putting into the production of putting a game on that particular platform, and then it not selling well on that platform. Yeah. I guess they'd have to weigh that. But I don't think it's to the point where the numbers would be so low they wouldn't be making some sort of profit. I just don't see that, especially with Wukong.
Just depends. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know how far out the releases for Xbox.
We don't know either. You
know, I can always just buy it on PC, but that did remind me of something. Is in the Nintendo Direct, you did actually have Lego Horizon show up again, and so now PlayStation is actually putting a game in a Nintendo showcase. That's pretty cool, right? You got to look at it from like where that platform is going, because we keep complaining about them saying, hey, everything's locked down, but they're actually kind of changing their tune a bit here, and they're going to go ahead and advertise their game in a Nintendo Direct. That's pretty cool, right? I mean, like you can call it like from a console war perspective, or you can just say, hey, they're actually kind of adopting the thing that we expect them to do anyway. And so this is a step towards that direction anyhow, right? So they're going to be more day and date on other platforms. You can kind of just expect that going forward. You're probably going to see more games do that. And then for the rest of them, like they said, with their tentpole games, we'll see how that keeps going and how far they keep pushing out the PC port for their tentpole games. But it looks like they're going to put more stuff on there. They went ahead and created a whole thing for this called PlayStation Publishing, right? To now put these games everywhere. So this is an interesting step for them, right? So maybe they are changing, Fonz. Maybe they are going to change their tune.
That's what we keep saying. But you know, with this still happening, with the money heading thing. But and again, some developers
something that Jim did, right? We don't know how far back this happened.
Some developers are shying away from that now. You've got like Square Enix that's not wanting to do those deals anymore with Sony. They're finally starting to see that, look, you can make money elsewhere as well. You don't have to keep your product on one platform.
It's easy to start with a Lego game too, right? Because it's just a Lego game, right? So you can write off any like frustration from people by saying, but it's a Lego game. They're everywhere. You know, it's different.
Except this one's not on Xbox. But that's okay. Fine, whatever.
Yeah, but it's a Sony IP. It's a first party IP. So I'm not surprised that it's not on Xbox.
But it's on. They eventually need to learn that lesson too.
Well, remember, you know, Xbox is always years ahead, right? In kind of the forethought, and it's
I mean,
they kind of have to be, right?
Isn't that like one of the biggest reasons why the PSVR 2 is now opening up to PC, because they're just not selling?
Yep, and they stopped production, I think, right? They also said that they're stopping.
It, huh?
Yeah, and they said they're going to stop investment. There was a report out that they're stopping all investment in PSVR 2.
But then a little adapter they made doesn't even, like, oh my gosh, it's so bad. Like, I was like, okay, there's an adapter, it's going to be great. And then you see that it doesn't do HDR, it doesn't, and you're just like, oh my gosh, what are you doing?
Maybe I'm such a pessimist when it comes to pretty much anything, but especially with the VR tech, I've always been very vocal saying it's not really going to go anywhere right now. Like, it's not great, in my opinion. I think my son has a Quest 2, I believe. And I mean, I tried some of the games on that, and it's really just, in my opinion, terrible. I'd rather just play watching some great fidelity and great graphics on the screen in front of me with a controller, rather than using those weird controllers in your hands and have this heavy thing, hot thing on your face. I can't do it. I don't like it. I don't know. I've always kind of said that it was a lot like 3D movies. It's a gimmick. Yeah. Like, some people like it, but it's very few people that really like it.
Yeah, I keep saying that AR is the future, right? So I have the X Reels. I keep showing them to people. They're just a pair of glasses, and they let you see the world, and then you can put in whatever you want in front of you as far as the graphics. So this one hooks up to a phone or to a PC. It just becomes a display, and you can do whatever you want with it. But ultimately, I think that's what it's going to be. Your phone will just be this, right? So it'll just be, your phone will be embedded in this, and then you don't need a slab like that, right? It'll just be your headset. I think that's when it becomes useful, right? But otherwise, yeah, it's too gimmicky. So, but yeah,
That's
VR.
my
I don't know,
yeah.
man.
I don't know. I don't know. Who am I? Like, I'm not the
Right.
gatekeeper of gaming. Like,
I'll say that Phil was right to not bother investing in it because it just isn't really going
no,
anywhere.
it's not viable.
He saw
Yeah.
that from, of course, from Microsoft. Microsoft Windows did that, right? Windows would had made this whole 3D thing. They said, "Hey, we're going to do mixed reality." They put it into their OS. It went nowhere. It went nowhere. So yeah, I get, they could see the reality of that, and they're like, "Why am I going to bother investing that, on Xbox?"
Oh my
anyways?
gosh.
Oh,
Yeah. So much craziness
yikes.
with the VR tech.
Whoa.
Yeah, a lot of people have gotten hurt using VR for sure.
So
Yeah.
here we have this really cool VR place where you go and you put on, it looks like a proton pack, right, from Ghostbusters. You put on this backpack that's like your power source, and then you put the headset on, and it's a vest that also reads lasers, and then you get a gun, like a full size like battle rifle, like Halo style. And it's in a warehouse that's been laser mapped, right? Precise, exactly, even with like the columns in it. And when you put it on, you go and you play like a Halo style shooting thing. And it's a map, and you run around the warehouse in the VR because it's all mapped so that you shouldn't run into, a pillar or a wall or whatever. It's a lot of fun. It's super cool. Costs a lot, but it's really fun. But again, right? Like, I like VR. I think it's really
There's
cool,
Holly right
but
there, right into a
yeah.
wall.
Nope, not anymore.
Oh man!
Dude.
Enough about VR. People are gonna get bored.
Yeah.
The Matt Booty interview, Hargeet. What did Matt Booty have to say? What are some of the nuggets in this interview?
Yeah, so one of them is about the closures, which I thought was kind of interesting. There was the potential. So when they closed Arcane, Austin, Alpha Dog, and Tango, Alpha Dog, I don't think anybody really like batted an eye. It's a small mobile developer.
I was so pissed about that. Poor Alpha Dog.
Like whatever, right? And it's like, you just bought King. You can always just do mobile there. It kind of made sense. I got that one. Arcane Austin, again, who's going to bat an eye when that was their first big $70 push game. And
Holly's going to bat an eye. She loved Arcane Austin.
No, Arcane is still around.
I have a
Arcane
problem.
Austin, who created Redfall and gave them.
They also created Prey. They also were a heavy support for Dishonored,
which is still around. Right, but they're still around. They can still make it. Leon can still make it, right? But they specifically that studio specifically chose to not bring that up, created that problem for them. But either way, the people that made Prey aren't even there anymore. They let them all go and got in new people to go make a multiplayer game. So it's like, okay, well now,
and I also
what do we do with the studio?
Yeah, that whole thing. I'm not arguing with you, but like, the fact that they made Redfall was not their choice either, right? We all know that now as well.
No, it was.
They were put in a bad situation.
Yes, and well, sort of. So the leadership of Arcane Austin decided they're going to make that game based on the input of Bethesda in general to say, hey, we should try to do gas games where possible. They're like, okay, let's tackle that, and so they decided to make it. Fine, whatever, and it ended up becoming a problem for them, because that's not what they do. And it's a pattern we've seen everywhere, right? A single player focused studio tries to make a multiplayer live thing. It just doesn't work. And right. So yeah, exactly. Suicide Squad's the same problem. But look, whatever. I wasn't going to say, okay, you know what? Like, yes, it's kind of disappointing, but I get that one. Most like companies in the world would say, you did what now? Bye. Right. That's just the way it is. Phil was like, I'll take the black eye. Fine. It's my fault. And, but at some point, if that happened, I was not going to be surprised. Tango is the one that really was like, wait a second, you just put out this critically acclaimed game. Why did you close them? Now we find out, okay, what's really happened is, and I had heard some rumors in the background, and I don't know how true they are. There was a small team working on Hi-Fi, which Johansson was running. And they put that out. While that was happening, after Ghostwire, the rest of the studio did nothing, right? Because Mikami left. He took some of the people that were his proteges as well. And so there was no leadership. So the rest of them just sat there and did nothing. Now, I don't necessarily blame them because nobody was telling them to do anything, so fair enough. but nobody took the initiative to become a leader and say, okay, well, why don't we just go make something, right? And so now here's where the headache comes in. Johansson could maybe make one, maybe he could make 2 games, right? And so maybe he could lead a team.
Right.
Microsoft can't really do much here, right? Because they're in Japan. They're not across the street in Redmond, right? They're not like, it's like, hey, why don't we send some of our leadership over there and help them out? This is a problem for them as far as how the hell do they handle that in Japan, right? First, if they send somebody over from their side, there's going to be, you're the white guy. Why are you coming to Japan to tell us what to do? That's not going to work, right? So now you have to, and by the way, the guy that was Japanese left. The white guy's the one left in charge. So I'm just saying, right? So that's yet another headache. So they had leadership problems, and he kind of gave you that, hey, this is like the leadership wasn't there to do anything. So like, this is kind of a thing. And like, okay, let's go find a leader. Wait, so you're going to take somebody who has a studio, who knows how to make a game, away from their studio? Like, that's just not a thing. Who's going to do that? Who's going to do that? That's just not a thing. So what were their options? This is the problem, right? So I think I understand now where that came from. Was like, look, you might be able to make another Hi-Fi Rush. What about the rest of the developers that are sitting there doing nothing? What are we supposed to do with them? So do we cut this down to a small AA studio and just you make smaller games? But the whole point was we wanted Mikami, right, to help us make bigger games that you guys could tout as masterpieces that are in your portfolio. Well, that's gone because he left.
But why did Mikami leave to begin with? He was there for
remember, he supposedly he was planning on retiring.
Yeah, he was never the head of the studio. He was the creative lead, right? So he could make the game, but he couldn't make the game he wanted, right? And that was his headache, right? And I don't know if, like, because you were saying, Fonz, basically he had made the decision to leave ahead of time, right? Before the acquisition, right?
Yeah,
he already decided.
Yeah. He was already,
because I want to do my own thing. And that's fair. That's fine. But it never allowed Phil to work with him to say, hey, why don't we do whatever you want to do? That's fine. I'm okay with that. Right. But he never got that opportunity. Right. Phil was all excited when you saw him talk about this. Right. He was all excited about, hey, I get to work with Tango. Right. And Mikami. Right. This is great. That never materialized. And so, unfortunately, I think this is just the way it was. And that studio kind of had to just go because there was nobody to drive the game development over there. And that it sucks. It does. It sucks. Right. But this is kind of what ended up happening. So now I understand Tango. Right. I totally got Arcane anyway. And I totally got Alpha Dog. Like, whatever. So I'm not as concerned anymore. Right. From what he gave me as nuggets, I get what he's saying now. I get what happened. So that was a big one for me. I don't know if you guys had any other thoughts on that specific part.
No, because I really don't know enough. Again, like, as you said, we heard some rumors like that's what happened behind the scenes, but we'll never really know, the answer from the executives anyway, because they're not going to give it to you. They're just not. We're not privy to that information. It's not something that they're going to do. I want to give a shout out to Spartan661. He has a super chat here for $4.99. He says, who cares seeing Black Wukong getting first access on PS5? Game Pass, ? Wait a few months. And we have Back Combat from Activision games going to Game Pass. Yeah, you're going to be seeing a lot of games going into Game Pass right now. Wukong won't be one of them, so don't expect that. But I think in general, you're just trying to say that you've got a lot of games coming to Game Pass that you don't have to worry about Wukong. And you're 100% correct. There's a lot of games coming to Game Pass this year alone. Some pretty big ones towards the end of the year that I'm looking forward to. Avowed being one of those, Indiana Jones being another. Just 2 games right there that are pretty big. So I can't wait for those. But then we have Flintlock in July. So
yeah, right. Flintlock is coming. Yeah,
and I enjoyed that demo.
That specific piece.
Yep.
Because there's more. There's
okay. Yeah. Go ahead. Do tell.
So the other big interesting one was how did the 4 games that went over to PlayStation and Nintendo, how did they do, and what is the future strategy? And they were happy with Sea of Thieves. He didn't really say that they're happy about anything else. So the other 3 tests kind of failed. Right. So that includes Grounded, which we thought might do something, but it did not. So Pentiment, Grounded, and Hi-Fi Rush did not do well over there. But Sea of Thieves did. So he basically said that, hey, look, that means still case by case, we'll be looking at what we can bring over there. But that the Xbox promised that all Xbox first-party games will be a launch exclusive, right? And he says launch exclusive, is still there. We still have that promise. And now I'm not sure what that means, right? So launch exclusive gives you a little bit of a hint that there is no exclusive. Like things could potentially always go over to other platforms. Which, okay, that's something to contend with. The other question is, if you base it on what worked, Sea of Thieves is a live service game, and for some reason it worked over there. What was the reasoning it worked over there? I don't know, right? I don't know how you measure that. What I do know is Hi-Fi did not work over there. So a small, quirky, single player focused game apparently isn't going to do anything on PlayStation. So I would think something like South of Midnight would probably fit in that category. I don't think that one will do much over there, but that's just a guess of mine. Right. I'm just trying to think of what that would look like going forward. So I'll open it up first. What do you guys think about that?
Holly, what do you think?
So they don't. Kay Asante, we talked about this Friday on the Infinite podcast, and I just said, here we are with another statement that, it's funny because everybody's become really good at PR, right? As far as like consumers reading PR statements and knowing where the BS lies or where the pressure points are, right? And of course, launch is the initial, is the big thing here, right? And they said launch very specifically. And I kind of said, I just wish, I don't think Xbox knows what they're doing, right? As far as what will go, what go. I don't think they have a clear, defined roadmap, with 1 or 2 exceptions here and there. But I don't think they have if it's this, then it stays here. If it's this, then it goes to these 2. If it's this, it goes everywhere. I don't think they have that. It would be nice if they did and just told people so that it would stop the conversation.
I know, right?
That is the biggest problem with this whole thing is that, they just had this incredible showcase, showed all these really cool games. You want to talk about the games. I don't want to talk about this BS about where it is, what it is, because I'm tired of the conversation. But the problem is now every Xbox game that's announced, you're like, that's so cool. That looks great. Look at all of this. Look at all this. The very next conversation is, where is it and for how long? And is it going to PlayStation? Right. And it's just like, that shouldn't be part of the conversation.
No, it shouldn't.
Either way. Right.
Yeah.
Like, just leave it alone. Like, I don't really want to hear about it because I just want it to be, this is what's happening or that's what's happening. And it's a done deal. We don't have to talk about it anymore. Whatever it is. It's exhausting because in Kay Asante was
thank you
chat to, he said a chat and he was just like, no disrespect to the panel, and saying that you wish you had this like bucket list right on, this is this bucket, this is that bucket. He was like, at the end of the day, what does it, like, knowing where it's going, what does that change for you and this, your relationship with this game?
Nothing.
Right?
Nothing.
And you're right. Yeah, it's just that
where it becomes more of an issue isn't us. It's more prospective
media.
Customer. Right? No, it's
media
prospective
too,
customer.
Yeah,
if I'm in India and I say I don't need to go away from PlayStation because everything these guys talk about is just going to show up on my PlayStation, then Xbox still stays irrelevant in India. That's the problem.
I think they
until
have
we
more
get
of a
that resolved. I don't know.
You know what? I think it's less to do with exclusivity and more to do with their marketing and how they push their consoles in other countries. Because if it's anything like here in the US, it's shit. Honestly, I mean, think about it. Like, they don't really market very well here. So do you think they're spending the money over in India? No.
Well, so they have been marketing this year. They have stepped it up. The question is, do we actually like? I don't watch any ads, so it's actually hard to market to me, right? Because I'm pretty much wherever I would watch anything, I've paid to eliminate ads. So I don't know.
Same. Yeah.
So I don't go to the theater, so I don't even watch those, right? So apparently they've been marketing there too, like pre-movie ads. You get to see stuff from Xbox now. I don't go to the theater. So like I don't know where I would see these ads. Maybe on big billboards, but I don't drive that much either, so I wouldn't see the billboards. So it's very difficult for me to even know how they would market to me. But that I think is part of the problem, is it's hard to do, right? It was easier when like, hey, you want to watch anything, you're watching on live TV and there will be ads and you will deal with it, right?
I think there are so many people there that won't, gamers that won't wait a year, 2 years for a game. Like certain games that come out, they're console gamers. They're going to buy that console.
That's an assumption in our world, right? It like you must have heard Gaz, right? Like for him to even be able to buy a console was such an immense luxury that to buy 2 consoles, that's not going to happen.
I got you. Yeah. Right? In certain countries.
So the majority of the world, that ain't going to be the thing, right? And now you have a situation where Nintendo and Xbox are the dominant platforms for games, because that's just the way it is. And you got to pick one of those, and Nintendo is a well-known name, so they're going to win, right? PlayStation still has a very recognized brand, so there's the problem, right? Well, and so if you have to pick one, it's Nintendo wins by default. Xbox
so the marketing. So here you go. This ties into that, right? Just this constant exhaustion of all of these games always being shrouded by, but where is it going to be? Is it coming to PlayStation in a year? All of that. Who's doing that? It's the media that typically talks about games, right? And they have a perception issue with media. And the casual people who don't, sit and listen to 4 podcasts a week, or sit on gaming Twitter, or sit on gaming Reddit, right? Who are just looking for, hey, there's a new game coming out. Do I care? Or, like, what's the review on it? They go to IGN, or they go to GameSpot, or they go to, pick a large YouTube channel, right? That does a lot of that. And it's shrouded around, well, you might want to wait because, right? The marketing is essentially to those people, to the casual audience, is done through these major media outlets, just by their like IGN first, and all of that they do, where they talk about next games and things like.
Are they being wrong in telling you that? Because look, Microsoft's the one who put that out there, right? Just to be fair,
right. Yep, absolutely.
So are they not being correct in telling you, hey, if you happen to be unable to afford multiple platforms, then go ahead and just buy this platform, right? Now, by the way, that platform is more and more going to be Nintendo, because it'll play all the Xbox games, because they will not skip Xbox, Nintendo. They will be putting it there when Nintendo VNext comes out, and they'll have the stellar Nintendo library. And what is PlayStation giving you these days? Well, they're saying they're going to give you 1 marquee title a year, when Nintendo gives you 10, when Xbox gives you 10, right? Like that is the way it is, right? And if Xbox says, hey, our 10 is going to be on Switch, okay, that's the platform, right? It's convenient. It gives you everything, right? So that's kind of the headache they're putting themselves in.
But we're never going to get a straight answer on how long exclusivity is for certain games that might go to another platform. And you're never going to get word on which titles exactly are going to go to another platform until it happens. Unfortunately, that's where we're left, right? So if you're under that understanding, then you should be able to kind of deduce that, hey, if I want to play this game, let's say, Indiana Jones at this point, I'm going to need an Xbox or a PC to play it, right? So you're going to kind of gravitate to that platform. If you really want to play that game, you're going to go there and play it.
We'll see. I don't know that that's going to be the case. I think it's going to be, they'll just wait.
I don't know.
I don't care that like games don't come to PC.
You could be right, because
I don't have a PlayStation.
If you look at the alternative, a lot of Xbox gamers have been conditioned that, I can just wait for that game to come into Game Pass, and it could be any multi-plat game out there. Case in point,
That's
Wukong. people are like, oh, I'm, hopefully it comes to Game Pass. Like, no, not every game comes to Game Pass, people. Like, but that's an argument of some people have, and they kind of wait for that to happen. So I get that, but at the end of the day, we talk about this so often, it gets so exhausting, about, oh, is it going to stay exclusive? Is that that game going to stay exclusive? It's like, at this point, I don't care. I don't
At the end of the
care.
day, look at the game. Do you want to play it? Enjoy your game. That's it.
Wherever it's at, I don't know. That's the way I look at it. I don't care about this, whole exclusivity thing for me anymore. It's just like, they're going to do what they're going to do. Now, do I believe that they're not going to push certain things onto other platforms? You can call it, me being naive, but I think certain games won't make it to PlayStation. I don't think we'll see Gears E-Day
the ones
going
that
over to PlayStation.
I think are the ones you probably don't want, right? So, based on what they have with Sea of Thieves doing well, the games that are obvious that should go over are Halo Infinite, most likely any Gears game, most likely Forza, right? Because these are live games, right? And so they're the ones that make sense to go over there. They're also the ones that people will not want them to go over.
What if they...
But what if they just took the multiplayer
exactly what I was going to say
of Halo and Gears and put them on PlayStation, and then said, if you want the campaign, did you like that? Do you like how this plays? Are you interested in the story behind this? It's on Xbox to play the campaign and learn the story, and it's fine. You don't have to come to Xbox and do that. But
yeah, potentially, like Halo Infinite at least has a free-to-play multiplayer, right? So maybe you could do that. I don't know what they do with Gears. We'll see. Forza, they don't separate them out, so you have to buy the game. So you would have to say we'll have a free-to-play multiplayer from now on, and that's how that would
see.
Work.
Forza is one of those. Forza is one of those that's so niche that I could see them.
They just
selling
take the whole thing
on
over.
their platform. Yeah. I can see them doing
that.
So something
again,
like Gears and Halo, I still don't
right?
see it. Unless you're like Holly was saying, what if they in the future start to sell the campaign on its own?
And I think they would just put the whole game there. I think that's how it ended up going. But look, we'll see what they do in the future. But based on the test, those are the games that seem obvious, right? The other one I could think of maybe is like State of Decay. Maybe that would fit. I don't know, but it's hard to tell. Grounded didn't. That's a
we'll never know
game.
Because we can sit here and guess all day long, but at the end of the day, it's Phil and Matt and Sarah. They're making these decisions on which games go, which games stay, and I don't think they're ever going to be out in front of that and say, "Hey, this game's going over there," unless they announce a game and they announce it going to another platform, which could happen as well. But
like Doom, for instance, they did.
Right? With Doom,
have that going game day.
Exactly.
But anyway, so that was basically that part. Which, by the way, there's another topic. I don't know if we'll get into that kind of nullifies all of it. But anyway, let's move on. Yeah,
we'll move on. So, what other topics did we have to tackle?
So we had Gamescom, Call of Duty and Fallout, and then the marketing shift that happened. And then there's the Sean Layden thing.
Okay, let's tackle what's going on with Sean Layden.
So Sean, I think he was on a panel, was talking about where things are going as far as the consoles, and he thinks that it'll essentially become one platform. Because if you take Nintendo out of it, you look at Xbox and PlayStation, they're essentially just the same thing. They're PCs, and at some point it just makes sense to kind of align on one platform. And I just did a video on that and put that out today, but I think he's right. And there's two paths this could take. Nintendo is still a thing and we can't ignore it, right? If Nintendo can play everything, then that could be the console du jour. That could just become the console and everybody can put their stuff there. Or the more likely thing is you have Mac and Windows. Of those, Mac just does not seem to resonate with PC players. So basically Windows is the standard for PC gaming. No, there's Linux. No, there isn't. Just shut up. I don't even want to hear it. Nobody plays on Linux. There's like 10 people who do that. It's Windows. Okay. So
pretty much,
since Windows is the platform for PC gaming and Xbox is already Windows and the gaming platform of Windows is Xbox, it just makes sense that becomes the standard. We already hear rumblings of how Phil wants to kind of merge the two, and devices like the ROG and the Legion Go and all those, they basically have an Xboxy interface that allows them to be more controller friendly instead of mouse and keyboard, right? Because it's not very viable in a portable format or any gaming format to have a mouse keyboard interface. Well, they already own it. It's Xbox. They already have the interface. They just have to marry the two back to Windows and say, hey, here's a mode where you can switch to, where it just becomes a standard controller interface. And so your console is a Windows device that just is a console mode on Windows, right? And if that becomes the console, the Xbox console, then I just don't see why everybody wouldn't adopt that, right? So you don't have to buy a Sony console. You can just buy a Dell console. It just happens to run Windows, which just happens to give you access to Steam, to Epic, to everything, right? So you have access to the entire PC library. Go ahead and play whatever you want, right? That is a much more compelling long-term roadmap. As far as a developer, if you don't have to develop for multiple SKUs, you're just saying, I make a PC game and I put it on PC. Cool. If you want to attach those achievements to Epic Store, to GOG, to Steam, to Microsoft, heck, to PlayStation, it doesn't matter. Go ahead, do that. It doesn't matter. That's a little bit of tweaking of your game to say I'm attaching to that platform, as it were, that store, and that's how the achievements work. But that's pretty straightforward, right? So you can put them on all those stores. You can put them on one of those stores, up to you. It's available to everybody, right? That just becomes the obvious next step. Right. And so essentially everybody just is an Xbox console or a Windows machine. Right. At least that's where I kind of see it going. The other option is mobile, and mobile takes over everything, which is probably not likely, but it could happen. It could happen. So iOS tends to be the larger platform when it comes to gaming as far as mobile. So it could be that's the answer. But I just think PC players will want that tinkering. They'll want to be able to buy the parts they want to buy and put together what they want. And that's why Windows wins, because it doesn't care what you have in the box. Do whatever you like, right? They're not locking you down. Mac does lock you down. You're going to buy the device that Apple puts out. Deal with it, right? So whereas on Windows, if you want a 4080, you want a 4070, you want a 4090, you want a 3020, whatever it is, right? It doesn't matter. You can have AMD hard, you can do Intel. They don't care. Do whatever you want. It's up to you. It's up. You do whatever parts you want to put in. It'll just work. So I think that's kind of the direction, right? You'll have bespoke things that people like a ROG, will team at Asus will come up with a ROG, console, right? ROG, Xbox V, whatever, and put it under your TV, along with a ROG Ally that happens to take it portable, right? Fair enough, right? You can have all sorts of options there, but in that world, Sony could also sell you a Xbox console, and you can have the Sony front end, like kind of change some of the UI of Windows to make it look Sony or PlayStation. You could do that, but it just runs a Windows game, right? So that's kind of the world that I would see. So I kind of agree with them. I don't know what you guys think about it, but I kind of agree that is the direction. I just don't know how far out that is. Is that 20
I
years?
don't know
Is
either,
that 10
because
years?
you
Right?
still got.
I don't know when that happens.
You still got like Nintendo and Sony still wanting traditional consoles and pushing that idea. So it's when that does happen, it's going to come to the point where it's just not viable anymore. These consoles, they're not selling anymore, or they hit that plateau. They're going to hit a wall where it's like, okay, actually it'll even decrease. Like people will stop buying the consoles. It'll get worse than just hitting a wall, because right now I think we've hit that wall. At least that's what all the analysts have been saying, that, they're just not selling anymore. So who knows? At the end of the day, though, I don't really care about, all I care about is good games being made. That's it. I want great games on whatever platform, on every platform out there. I want these games to be spread out to everywhere. And these platforms, even if the consoles do stick around for many years or whatever, and Xbox has one, I'd rather them compete on a console level, on a feature set level than exclusive games. That's just my stance on it. Just like we have Blu-ray players that do different things, and we've got, Blu-rays going everywhere to every manufacturer and everything. It's not just like these movies are like, nope, we're only going to be on Sony Blu-ray players or, Magnavox Blu-ray players. You don't have that in that world. And, it's got to get to the point where these companies don't see the console as being that viable source of,
which is what he's saying. Yeah.
Of money,
which is what he's saying.
Revenue.
Right. And that's what I agree. I think that's it. Once it's Windows, it's Windows. It doesn't matter which Windows you're on, right? You can be on your desktop, you can be on a bespoke device.
And it does make it way more easier for the developer also, if it was all one SKU. Yeah,
it's one SKU.
So that's interesting. I don't know, Holly, do you have anything to say on this?
I 100% agree that eventually that's where it's going to go, because it's easier if they can work out the storefront stuff. It's easier for all of them, mainly, Microsoft and Sony, to not produce consoles, right? It'd be much easier for them to just third party that out and be able to sell a box that's certified, right? And then everybody has access to everything. I think it's a beautiful future. I wish we had. But how that's going to work, no idea. I do think probably that we will see an Xbox Steam station or whatever we're going to call it, right? At some point.
Remember these? The Alienware consoles?
Alienware?
Yeah. They were basically PCs in console form. This is the type of stuff that, he's alluding to happening. Maybe Alienware was just way ahead of their time and they did not sell well because nobody was really wanting that. Because somebody in the chat, was Gamergate DOA, said consoles are supposed to be for convenience and accessibility, etc. They're not supposed to be to imitate computers. And he's right. But here's the thing. Mm-hmm. These consoles that we have now are basically computers. That's what they are. They're just closed. You can't open them up and you can't change parts. But you'll still be able to buy something like that. Just like something like this Alienware console here that's being shown.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to have... I think they have to get around storefront issues, right? And they have to get around
that's a big thing.
PC comes with a myriad of issues with drivers and blah blah blah, right? That console gamers don't want to deal with. So they're going to have to figure that kind of stuff out. But I think it'll be a closed system still, right? But
just like
it'll
this.
have access to that all.
Because if you think about it, this Alienware console, it's playing all the games that are made for PC, just like the games that we're running essentially on these PC consoles that we have, the Xbox and PlayStation 5. And it's having to run these same games through its system. So it would be the same thing. Like, again, developers only having to make for one SKU is a huge pro. And that'd be amazing in the future, because then there would be no stupid console wars. And well, there probably still would be. I like my
it'd be
Dell
nice to just be able
console.
to buy one box and then just buy a Sony game or buy an Xbox game, but not have to have different places and be able to use one type of controller on it all, right?
Yep.
That's another beauty, right? Is you don't get locked up. But look, the thing is, you could have like a special thing that the PlayStation equivalent does that the Xbox equivalent doesn't. But ultimately, they play the same games, right? You buy one game and it's accessible to you wherever. It doesn't matter, right? And hey, you decide I want to buy the next Legion Go, whatever the heck it is. And it's like, oh, my entire library is still here. I get all my saves. Everything's still the same, right? Whatever I own, I still have. I can just take it with me. And when I come back, I can play on my PlayStation equivalent hardware. It doesn't matter, because it's ultimately it's the same OS. It's the same stores that you buy everything from. They're just right there, right? But that doesn't mean you can't have flair, right? If you look at the Steam Deck versus the Legion Go, they have different capabilities, right? but ultimately you're playing the same games, right? The same games are available to you, it's the same stores, like whatever, right? It's the same games. But they have some like little like things that they do differently, right? Cool, that's awesome. I like that actually, because now they can buy for my dollar. Just like if I want to buy a laptop from Dell versus HP versus Lenovo, or from Surface or whoever, they will then give me features that are like, well, this is what's cool on our side. Why don't you come to ours? This has this cool feature. It's still running Windows. It's all the same thing, right? But I have this extra thing that you want to try. Oh, you don't like that one? That one has it. Oh, okay, cool. You can go to that one. Doesn't matter. And Microsoft's happy either way. Everybody's buying Windows, so they're happy either way, right? So
would that eliminate crossplay issues too then?
Essentially, because everybody's on the same thing.
Yeah, it would. And thank God for that, because I would love to be playing the Elden Ring DLC on the PC, but unfortunately no cross save. It sucks. That you can't do that.
That does kind of suck.
Yeah. But it's running okay on the Xbox. I did have issues though during one boss fight with some big FPS spikes. The frame drops hard on the Dancing Lion boss fight. Holy crap. I mean, it chugged. It got to the point where it like stopped, and then it like stuttered a couple times, and then it was so bad. I died because of it so many times. So that is an issue with the consoles. It's the same with the PlayStation 5. It's not just an Xbox thing, guys. So don't come with the pitchforks. But I heard same thing happens on the PS5 version with that Dancing Lion boss fight for sure. And there's some other areas too where I've seen the frame rate tank, but not that bad. The Dancing Lion was the one that was pretty bad. Let's end the show on a good note, though. Let's talk about Gamescom real quick. So apparently, Xbox, with the great showcase they just had, still has more to show us at Gamescom. Isn't that insane? Holly, isn't that insane? It's insane.
I mean, this is what we've been begging for years, right?
Yeah, I know. Since 2017, I've been there. Like, what are you doing, Xbox? Sitting on your hands?
And like, we all knew this day was coming, right? Like, it was an inevitability. It's just people have been waiting for so long that now they have like that, like, I don't trust you, pinch me kind of thing, right? And this is it. Like, this is the one every quarter where it's all dropping, except that in 2024, it seems like the one every quarter got sandwiched into the last quarter, but so be it. I love it. It's fantastic. I'm just really happy because Fonz, you're playing my favorite. I already know what it is. This is my favorite announcement from this showcase.
She was like, yes, Doom is coming to the PlayStation 5. She was so happy.
Oh, wait.
Oh, not that one.
Don't even care. Oh. This freaking game on Game Pass. Like,
so
this
good.
one excites me so much. I can't wait. I think I've watched this trailer like 25 times. Like, it's good.
Really good. Like,
it's on another level. Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
And this time I'm going to be able to play it on PC. Oh, so good. I can't wait. Because everybody's telling me boot up the PC version of Doom Eternal, that it's really freaking fantastic. And I'm like, okay, maybe. I haven't got around to it yet, but I played it on the Xbox Series X and I loved it. I thought Doom Eternal looked amazing and it performed amazing on the Series X.
Did you like it better than 2016?
Yes, I did. And here's the thing. Funny, I thought that at first when I saw the jumping and everything in the game, I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do the platformy stuff, not in Doom, but I loved it. I thought it was so well done in Eternal. I liked it a lot. So I'm looking forward to this though, even more because of the different weapons, the shield, everything they're showing in here. It looks so cool.
The dragon.
That dragon thing. Oh yeah. I can't wait. So good.
Yes. But anyway, Gamescom, traditionally they really haven't shown like new stuff at Gamescom. They've just shown more, right, of what we know is coming. So I don't usually expect to see new stuff, but what I would expect to see at Gamescom are release dates for the games that we know are coming in 24.
Yeah.
I think we'll get the official announcement of the Avowed date. We'll get the Indiana Jones date. We might see Towerborn, right, with a date, because I think they're still trying to come out in 24.
Yeah, I heard that too.
And then we'll probably see a little bit more of like Aura, because that wasn't there in June, right? And that's coming out in September. And then I don't know, maybe they'll give a little sneak peek of I'm hoping Replaced will be there with a date, because it's supposed to still be 2024. But maybe they'll give a little
that
more
game
sneak
went
peek
MIA. That just
yes.
it
Although
disappeared.
it was at Summer Games Fest though, and people were playing it. So there's a working build, there available to play. It's got to be super close. Earlier in the year, they said that it was delayed till fall of 2024, and we're almost at the end of June, right? So
Yep.
I would assume if they were going to delay it again, we probably would have heard by now or around now that it was going to get delayed again. But since they were at Summer Games Fest, I would think it's probably pretty close. Anyway, I think we're going to see some more of that. Maybe we'll see some Clockwork stuff, because that's pretty quiet.
A good one. Yeah, Clockwork.
It might preload a little bit of that for, I don't know if I thought it was a 2025 game.
That's a game I forgot about that I was interested in, and
that is my most anticipated Xbox game.
It blows me away how many games they have coming between 2024 and 2025.
What is Double Fine doing? I am dying to know. Please, somebody show me Double Fine stuff.
Yeah,
so
really
excited. There's so much.
Psychonauts 2 was incredible. I
that was
loved that game. That was my game of the year that year too. It was that one, and there was something else that I loved too, and I was like, they're neck and neck. I loved Psychonauts 2 though. It was so good.
Me too. Yeah.
I like the first Psychonauts. I go way back to playing that with my daughter when she was younger. She's an adult now, so she was able to enjoy Psychonauts.
It Takes Two one, I think. Game of the year.
Yeah, but I'm not a fan of It Takes Two.
I think It Takes Two.
It Takes Two was very good.
Wait, I'm not a co-op. Well, I'm not a co-op guy, so I didn't play it. I didn't. So.
Man.
Okay, so don't talk about it then, because
I'm not talking. Right? I'm not saying it's a bad game. I'm just saying
if you want to play through it again. By the way, if you want to play through it, I could do that with you, or maybe one of your kids.
Yeah,
it's really worth playing. I would highly recommend it.
I'm excited to play this game that it just showed, State of Decay 3. Though I want to see gameplay so bad, but I think that's a ways out. I do. I think. If it doesn't hit at the end of next year, I think they'll be pushing that into 2026.
And it could even be ready, Fonz. The problem now that they have is you can't just keep releasing games all at the same time, right?
Yeah,
they have to space things out.
True.
And now it's like, where do you fit these things? And that's going to be the problem that they have now, right? So, but either way, right?
Yeah,
I'll wait for my turn.
Yeah. So, what do you like? What are you looking forward to, Hargeet? At Gamescom.
I agree with a lot of what Holly said. I think you're going to get updates on games you saw. I don't think they're going to do something new, but that doesn't mean we don't get like an update on some of the bigger games. I also am hoping at this point they'll be ready to give us some ABK games in Game Pass. It would be kind of nice to get some of the older Call of Duties in there, but there's a whole bunch of other games that they have in the ABK catalog that it's time to start putting stuff in there.
Candy Crush, let's go.
Yeah, well, to be fun, I mean, there was something going on with a potential port to console for that, right? So if they're ready to roll that out, what the heck, right? So I don't know how much that's really going to matter. It probably will. Well, we may make fun of it, right? But you know how much freaking money they make off of that freaking game?
Oh, I know. It's a cash cow.
If that means somebody will play it on a freaking console, yeah, bring it. Why not? I don't care, right? Absolutely, bring it and let people play and let them have fun, right? More gaming is always better. So anyway, so that could come but yeah, I'm hoping they have some announcements of something coming to Game Pass from ABK. It's going to be close to a year at that point.
I like that.
Right, we're looking at August, right, end of August. At that point, we also have to, like you're saying, Holly, we need to have all the release dates kind of done for the year, right? Indie's got to have a release date. Avowed's got to have an official release date. Ara, we did get an update after the showcase in an extended view. They had Ara and Age of Mythology, and those did get release dates. So maybe they'll give you a little snippet of those at Gamescom, because they would be coming like a month later, right? Not even, it'd be like a few weeks later, right? What's that? Warhammer Space Marine 2. I think they have marketing for that, right? So they're probably going to give you something about that, because that's coming out in the early September timeframe. Stuff like that. So I totally expect whatever we have coming for the rest of the year, they'll have updates there, and hopefully a couple of things that we missed from the June showcase, just because they couldn't fit it, right? And so maybe there'll be some updates on games that we already know about, like Everwild or Clockwork or something like that. Yeah. Contraband. Right, that could potentially be coming. So sure, and if Replaced and Towerborn are going to make it this year, I almost think they shouldn't even bother, because like with the number of big games they have coming, they'll get lost in the shuffle. Those are good. I don't want to call them fillers, but they're good gap like games between bigger games, right? And so since the rest of the year is kind of just crazy, maybe you can put something in December. You can maybe put one of those in December, and then just wait, because then let's say in Feb you have a big game coming out. In March, maybe you put out a Towerborn or Replaced and say, okay, that's going to be it. And then April we have our next big game or something like that, right? I hope they understand they need to space things out, and otherwise they'll just never get the time of day, right? If you put out Indie, Avowed, you put out Space Marine, you put out your two RTSs with Age and Ara, on and on, like all at the same time. Yeah. Right, it's like, and then you put these smaller games in there. They're just not going to get the time of day, and I don't want to like have them get nothing, right? Because the other big games are there. So
isn't the altars this fall as well?
It probably. I mean, there's so much coming, along with, by the way, the other third party stuff. We are, we still have to, right. I guess, space around, right? So yeah, it's an interesting issue for them.
Shattered Spaces, yeah.
Yeah, they still have to give us that, right? When is Shattered Space coming out? So, which we expect will be around the same time frame as the release for this game, right? So, September again, like that would be crazy.
Yeah, there's too much. Literally, there's too much to play in 1 year for me.
Yeah, like you were saying, right, Fonz? Too many games.
Yeah, too many games, and it's true. I think what you guys said, I mean, was spot on about what they could be showing there. The only thing I would add some more to maybe is some gameplay, a little bit of gameplay from some of the games that they showed at the Xbox showcase. That'd be cool if they came out with a gameplay trailer on certain games that really didn't show much gameplay. I would love for them to show Fable gameplay, like just the gameplay. You know what I'm saying? Not strung through a cool little trailer, but show some gameplay just to shut people up out there. That's the main reason, because I know the way it's going to play. You can see the portions of that trailer where it's gameplay.
Better gameplay. Yeah.
But there's still people that have their blinders on and they don't want to acknowledge that it's an actual game. Look, it's kind of it's kind of like a form of flattery at this point, because they're saying the game looks too good. There's no way that's gameplay, because it does look really good. And I'm not the biggest Fable fan, but this Fable, I just feel it feels like it's going to be special. It really does. I cannot wait to play this one. And I played the other Fable games and I enjoyed them. I'm just not like huge on the British humor and all that, but I like the whole going to the dark side and all the stuff you could do within the game. Like you can have a wife in the game and things like that. That's cool to add in a game, but we'll see where they take it in this one. Because I think they're going to have a lot of that stuff still. And I think even the British humor will be there. But I think the way it'll be coming together in this game will be so much more well done. I think we're going to have something really special here with Fable. I think it's going to put them on the map of having one of those games that people are going to want an Xbox for or a PC. So I don't know.
Or when it comes to Switch or PlayStation. But anyway, whatever.
I don't think it's going to PlayStation.
There you go. Stop doing that.
We shall see. But Game Pass, it's what it's all about. I don't have to spend $70 on all these games coming out this year. Could you imagine if Game Pass didn't exist? How hard would you which games would you guys have to buy, and which ones would you be like, I'm gonna have to put you on layaway? You're going to the backlog in the future sometime, because there's so many coming out that I want to play.
Yep. Yeah,
Game Pass.
We haven't even talked about the other ones. I don't know how many of the third parties are coming this year, right? They had the Expedition 33 and 33 Immortals also that they announced last
that's
year.
what it's showing.
Oh, yeah, that should be soon.
Right. And then they had, what was that? Wu Chang. I don't know if
Wu
that
Chang,
was
Flintlock. Flintlock's next month. I'll be able to play that next month. And
Frostpunk 2 is next month as well. Well, they haven't talked about that in
Is that a free to play?
Yeah. It's on Game Pass though.
It was in Game Pass. Yeah, Frostpunk 1 was in Game Pass. I don't know when that multiplayer thing, the Fragpunk, right? That also was
I think that was 25.
Yeah, and then a game that I'm looking forward to is Unknown Nine Awakening, which was on
Looking
Keeley's showcase.
forward to that too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know when that comes out. That's supposed to be this year. So, there's so many, right? But then a lot of people are looking forward to the Star Wars game, which is coming out. There's,
again, so
Assassin's Creed.
Assassin's Creed Shadows. Yeah.
So I'm going to I'm going to sign up for Ubisoft Plus just to play the Star Wars game and Assassin's Creed Shadows, and then I'm going to unsubscribe. But the reason being is because I'm not going to shell out $130 to play 3 days early. I'll just pay the $19 or $17, whatever it is, and play it, and then get rid of it.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't have to own my games to enjoy them, people. I get that a lot, Holly. People come at me and go, don't you want to own your game? I don't care. If I get to play the experience, the same experience you had, I don't have to own it. I don't have
the option, doesn't it? Right? So if Ubisoft didn't want to give you the option, they wouldn't give you the option. It's a Ubisoft service. They're the ones who gave it to you. Yeah. So
I don't need to worry about the company financials. I just need to worry about my own. That's
facts.
Yeah, exactly. Facts. Right. And it's not like if you see the chart every time these games are announced, right? You have $70, $110, $150, or $18. And they're the ones putting it there, right? They're the ones giving you it. Or you can pay $18 and just get the subscription, and it gives you everything in the $150 version except for a statue or whatever, right? And it's like, well, gee, you're the one telling me to pay $18. Why wouldn't I just pay $18? Fine.
Oh, here's another game that they showed at the showcase that I cannot wait for. South of Midnight blew me away. Even seeing all this, I was like, wow, it looks really cool. Even with the, the frame skipping and everything. I just think the world is really cool. The fish and everything in it, the character, the model, it just looks so good to me. And then the gameplay blew me away. I was like, holy crap.
Yep. Pretty creative, right? I like it.
Yeah. Very creative. And it's giving me some problems. It keeps stopping.
Yeah. Hanging or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah,
anyways.
So I don't know. I think that's gonna be our Gamescom. It's it's gonna be more updates, not massive new announcements. I think there will be some for the Keeleys, the not the ONL, but the awards show. They'll probably drop some new stuff there. I don't know what happens at the Tokyo Game Show, right? They usually try to do something big there to try to garner any mind share in the East. So we'll see what they do. Hopefully they have some big announcements there too. Yeah.
Well, you know who won't be there? Unfortunately, PlayStation is not going to show up at Gamescom, people. They've got nothing to show.
They have nothing to show you.
Well, I mean, Hiroki told us not until May 2025. So
yeah,
It's going to be a while. And have you guys seen the I'm not going to put it out there, but the leaks of Wolverine so far?
Yes.
I know it's all alpha and everything, but I do not like the traversal that they're showing, him jumping from rooftop to rooftop. Please don't do
weird.
that.
Is it Spider-Man reskinned?
Yes.
And
now to be fair, it could be an early like attempt at starting to migrate what they have with Spider-Man into the new game, and they have to redo all the mechanics and all that. That's totally fair, right? And I'm just holding out hope that that's what it is, because the animations are Spider-Man, the things you're doing are Spider-Man. You're jumping from rooftop to rooftop, and it's like, what the heck is
bad.
He
and he's basically climbing the walls by using his claws, but he's just climbing up buildings and then jumping off buildings to other buildings. I'm like, that's not Wolverine.
It's not.
That's not what I think of when I think of Wolverine.
No, I don't. I don't
like
want
walking
that.
around in his like X-Men suit in the middle of the streets, and I'm like, this is just not what they do. Like, what is this?
Don't get me started on Holly. I sent it to you. The picture of Jean Grey supposedly in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Looks, not good. Not good.
Yeah, I'll assume that maybe they'll touch up all the models and the graphics.
That's the thing. You don't know. You don't know
where they're at.
Is actually from, and Insomniac is really
well.
good
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like, you could tell all this stuff is early footage, and I'm not like bashing it for graphics, but what I am bashing is the traversal, that part, and that's something that I think they're going with, and I don't like it. I don't like that. So we'll see what happens with it. But unfortunately, that's what happens with leaks, some stupid alpha footage gets put out there and has people talking. They don't get to tell
you what they want to. Yeah. Which kind of sucks.
Yeah. It's not fair to them for sure. Insomniac's great. They're one of the best studios there at PlayStation. So I think they're going to create a great game, but if that is what you're doing, please change it. Don't have him jump from rooftop to rooftop like that. It's not cool. Anyways, with that, we've already spent well over 2 hours here on this podcast. Guys, thank you very much. Guys and gals, I should say. That blue number, Holly, thank you very much for being our guest this week. Let everybody know where they can find you and what you got going on. Do you have a YouTube channel? Do you use it?
I have a YouTube channel with nothing on it, but I have 15 subscribers. So
big time.
I do have I have some
I bet Stephen Avery is one of them. Yeah.
He's probably one of them.
Yeah.
Red and I actually made a cyberpunk playlist that's on there. So if you're playing Cyberpunk and you want to have like good like synth music, right? Like to play over the game, we created
better
this,
music,
playlist. Anyway, I am that blue number on all of the gaming platforms everywhere and also on Twitter. Tuesday nights I am on the Renegade Realm podcast on Red Wolf's channel. He
Shout
just
out
hit
to Red
1,000
Wolf.
subscribers.
Shout out to him.
Big deal for him. Yeah. Super nice guy. And then on Fridays, I'm on the Infinite podcast with Infinite Umbra and Risk It for the Biscuit and Dante J. Moody, who is my partner in crime a lot of times on Fallout 76 and just a real good dude. So I'm around doing that stuff. And I also work on the coins with Ben Kenobi. If you have won, yes, Ben Kenobi 2020 on Twitter. If you have won a Gears coin from a show, please be patient because there are a lot of coins being given away right now, and it is much easier to bulk ship. So be a little bit patient. Because they will be going out as it's possible. It's just me doing it. So, and I've had a death in the family. So, there's going to be a little bit of time delay for that. Thank you. So just please be nice and be patient. We appreciate it. So thanks.
That blue number, where'd the name come from?
It it was a dress that I had that I really, really liked. It was Phil Spencer actually asked me this question. He was like, "What does your name mean?" And I was like, "Well, I had this dress, and when I was looking for a new screen name instead of my old email name, right? And I was changing my username. That's what I came up with because I can get it everywhere. So, and it's kind of fun.
It was a blue dress.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, you didn't call yourself That Blue Dress.
Yes.
You remember that blue dress?
The blue and gold or versus
no, That Blue Dress.
White and gold.
We're going way back.
Oh, the reference. Are you talking about the OG Haktua girl?
Yeah, yes. We're talking about Monica. Yes.
The
yes.
first YouTube that we should probably talk about. Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, I can't bring up politics because people are, say that I bring up politics and I'm ruining the show. Anyways, thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys. And Fonz, you have the best. I think you just have about the best opener for any show on YouTube. I love your opener, the music.
I appreciate it.
The video, it's just awesome. I always meant to tell you that.
It's just me. It fits me. I love the 80s aesthetic and all that. So thank you. Hargeet, you another week with you. Thank you for being here, of course. And let everybody know where they can find you. First off, let them know where the book is. Link in the description.
So you can go get my book called Emergence. Nothing to do with E-Day and
Do
gears.
you have the shirt on? Do you have the shirt?
I do have the shirt on.
Nice.
So, so anyway, so it's a sci-fi novel. If you want to check it out, go ahead. You can get it at shop.chiny.us. It'll just give you all the links directly to Barnes & Noble or Amazon or whatever, and you can get it there. Or if you want a signed copy, you can get it there as well. And like this shirt, you can buy the merch if you like. So check it out. And then you can sign up to my, subscribe to my channel, youtube.com/HargeetChiny1. I do drop videos here and there. I dropped one today at 3-ish about the whole one console thing that Sean Layden was talking about. So I kind of get into depth of that if you want to check that out. And my video on like the reactions thing for Gears, I think it's well above 40K now views, which is crazy for my channel.
That's awesome.
Yeah, 44,000 views. I'm like, that's nuts. So yeah, so people really seem to like Gears. That thing certainly has. I think it was the game of the show or the moment of the showcases was the E-Day announcement. And there's definitely some enthusiasm going on. If my little dinky channel has 44,000 views on a reaction to that, it's crazy what's going on with that game. But yeah, so check that out. I will be on Boom's Primetime Gaming on Wednesday. That's Wednesday at 7 p.m. US Eastern. Double Barrel Gaming is the channel, and then it'll be on C Money and Doodles On Point for Gamers channel on Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern as well, and that's for the night shift. So check that out. We'll be back here next week with, I'm sure, more fun news.
Gaming talk. Yeah.
It'll always be fun things.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody who shows up here every week because I am basically like me and Web Dave are the last podcasts of the week. So we get the news sometimes a week late, and we don't get it a week late. We talk about it a week late and it sucks. But I appreciate everybody who comes in and, tunes into this live or on demand. I appreciate you. And Hargeet, I did get your info for your YouTube channel too in the description. So everything is there. The book, everything, you can find him in the description of this video. Also, I put your That Blue Number YouTube channel as well. So she has no content except for a playlist, music playlist. So if you want to go there and listen to some tunes, it's old, old timey music. Lots of throwbacks to, Slim Pickens and old country music. That's where she listens to. All right. As she drives her Altima. All right.
Yeah. Blasting. Right. Hey, shout out Stephen Avery.
All right. With that said, I want to thank everybody for being here. And until next week, game on.